From the book of Genesis, chapter 4, verse 4, I share this with you, my dear and esteemed viewer. Reach out your hand and take the snake by the tail. My dear and esteemed viewer, there is a mind in your spine. There is a back and forth communication between the mind and the spine and your pineal gland, your third eye. Because the pineal gland is our oldest visual organ. The mind in the spine is the actual portal to larger reality. The pineal gland, third eye, is your portal to the cosmos. The pineal gland is a kind of projection screen. And an eye, your third eye, very much connected to the day and night rhythm. That's why it's important for you to supplement your diet with melatonin. In him was life, and that life was the light of men. That light shines in the darkness, and yet the darkness did not overcome it. Certainly the darkness will not overcome with a cup of instant coffee, adequately heated. Strength time for that vigorous personality. The communication between the spine and the pineal gland is made possible with the help of a fluid that is using pressure and light. In your spine is a fluid, the cerebrospinal fluid. Cerebrospinal fluid, that stuff, that is directly connected to the space where the pineal gland is in our brain. Now in Taoism, this is called the crystal palace. If you're familiar at all with soft internal Chinese martial arts, or Taoism, the path, the way, this is known as the crystal palace, the cerebrospinal fluid, where this crystal palace collects this in our brain. This fluid is also the fluid in which your brain floats. It has proteins and minerals in it that when put under pressure emit light. This is called piezoelectricity. Movements of the spine thus create light. Have you moved your spine this morning, my dear and esteemed viewer? Thus, the superb spatial awareness of the spine is communicated with pressure and light to the pineal gland and the other core parts of the brain. This is all possible because the pineal gland is pressure and light sensitive. The basis of this communication system between spine and pineal gland, your third eye, is mechanical. Pressure, caused by movements of and in the spine. Abdominal breathing, normal breathing, breathing as well as what in Taoism is called reversed or prenatal breathing. This type of prenatal breathing is kind of complex to describe it, where you, contrary to normal abdominal breathing, contract the abdomen while inhaling, as if you were inhaling or bringing oxygen in through the navel cord. Sets the lower part of the spine in motion, having your stomach muscles interact with your spine. Prenatal breathing. This creates waves of pressure through the fluid in the spine, which put the pineal gland under pressure, as well as give light signals from the fluid in your spine to your third eye, the pineal gland. Now, if you're familiar with this symbol, the depiction of Hermes, the staff of Hermes, the caduceus, the kerykeion, Hermes, who is the messenger of God between humans, earth, and God, Heaven was a gift of Apollo, the sun god. The sun is your friend, my friend. This symbolizes that the medium in the spine between heaven and earth is the light of the sun god. Your spine, your mind in the spine, is the staff of Hermes. In the book Taoist Yoga, Alchemy and Immortality by Liu Kuan Yu, some important things are said about this system of light. And from the introduction I share, and I quote, "While putting the generative force into orbit, it is of paramount importance to locate the original cavity of spirit in the brain, your crystal palace, which is precisely where a light manifests in the head. When the practitioner succeeds in concentrating his seeing effectively on the central spot between and behind the eyes, if this is not done, the radiant inner fire rising to the head during the microcosmic orbiting may be mistaken for that light and wrongly driven into a minor psychic center in the head from which it will be very difficult to dislodge it." In Taoism, it is taught that when we were still animal-like beings and walked on all fours, our spine was very flexible, like a snake. Once we started walking on two legs, our spine became as rigid and stiff as a staff. Rigid and stiff as a staff, rigid and stiff as a staff, rigid and stiff as a staff. Say that 10 times. That'll wake you up. One of the most important missions in Taoism is to strengthen the spine and make it totally flexible again. That's why these internal martial arts, as Tai Chi Chuan and others as Qigong, and even thousands of years of old Taoian sayings, exercises related to these sayings of old. Reach out from Genesis. It's even in the Bible, folks. In Genesis chapter 4, I shared verse 4. Reach out your hand and take the snake by the tail. Well, the snake is your spine. It's all coded. The Bible is all coded with all of these knowledges. So, it is important that spine exercises. There's an old Chinese proverb that says a person is as flexible as their a person is as young as their spine is flexible. And that's a Chinese proverb. So, as we learn when God said to Moses in Genesis 4, as I shared, as he teaches him how to perform magic by first turning his staff into a snake, his spine, reach out your hand and take the snake by the tail. What this sentence actually means is you manage the spine that you have turned from a rigid staff into a totally flexible snake again by the tail with abdominal breathing. That's fundamental on how to perform God's magic. Not the black magic of the Illuminati, dark cabal, manipulative, but talking about white Christ magic. The texts in the Torah, a growing number of scholars say, seem to have their origin in what the Greeks called the mystery schools. Mystery schools that in ancient times were found all over the place, from Egypt to China. And as said earlier, it was strictly forbidden to reveal the secrets. But to remember these secrets, through the generations they were written down as myths. To understand these myths, you had to be instructed by a master. Namaste, namaskaram. And to remember the techniques, you had to read between the lines of the myths. And so it is with the Old Testament. There probably never was a real Moses as depicted in the Bible. In fact, I've read that Moses was a sort of amalgamation of different historical personages from that time. But the Bible is it's symbolic and coded. That's the first thing to break you free from this religious fear-based programming, my friends. So there was never an actual real Moses, and you shouldn't think of the Moses in the Bible as a singular person, but a symbol as depicted in the Bible. The text is all analogical and symbolic. It's in parables. Jesus never spoke without speaking in parables to the masses. And even among his closest companions, really he only revealed the Gnostic secrets to Thomas. So these texts probably were written in the context of Jewish mystery school, Gnosticism and the Essenes as such as well. And there are hidden some deep secrets about the nature of our material world and its spiritual source. The very slow and very intense movements of Tai Chi Chuan, if done in the right way, change your perception of space and time. And combined with the very slow abdominal breathing, they create a trance-like state of alpha and theta brain waves, and they create electromagnetism. Now I want to hold up here, my dear and esteemed viewer, and I want to leave you with one particular breathing exercise that will activate your vagus nerve system. And if you breathe in through your nose to a count of 4, or whatever you're comfortable with, but you can count in the breath, 4 counts, and then out through your nose for 6 counts. No matter what quantity of counts you arrive at, whatever, if it's 2 in, 4 out, as long as the out breath is 2 more than the in breath and through your nostrils, this will activate your vagus nerve. And you must do that cycle at least 3 times. I recommend have fun with it. Do it 10 times, 15 times. In 4, out 6, 1, in 4, out 6, 2, in 4, out 6, 3, in 4, out 6, 4, so on and so forth. That will activate your vagus nerve system, and you have my assurances, my dear and esteemed viewer, that if you're experiencing any tumultuousness in your present reality or something, don't make any decisions until you have activated your vagus nerve, and hit that subscribe button as well.
Namaste. Namaskaram.